Back to another episode of the Motorsport Chat. I'm Natalie.
And I'm Darcy.
The motorsport world has been very busy over the past 2 weeks. Round 1 and 2 of the Extreme E Championship were held in Saudi Arabia from the 10th to the 12th of March. We witnessed some thrilling racing across the desert terrain, with Veloce Racing taking the win for round 1. The Asonia Signs XC team winning the second round for the weekend.
Last weekend we witnessed the second race of the Formula 1 season, also in Saudi Arabia. The race was won by Red Bull Racing's Sergio Perez, followed by his teammate Max Verstappen in second, and the all but confusing third position that was eventually decided that it would go to Fernando Alonso. We will speak a little bit more about this later on.
For Formula 2, last weekend Martins got pole position in qualifying on the Friday.
Iwasa managed to get the win on Saturday for the sprint race, and Vesti won the feature race on Sunday.
London Docklands are being pitched once again as a potential venue for Formula 1 with a 22 corner and 3.64 mile track.
The 2023 MotoGP season will start this weekend with the Portuguese Grand Prix. There are 21 races on the calendar for this season, but who will finish on top?
Well, the F1 race in Saudi Arabia. Now, what did we think about the race?
I thought it was not as exciting as I thought it might have been.
Okay.
I thought there would have been maybe like a red flag at some point, maybe like a couple more safety cars.
Yeah.
Obviously not complaining that there wasn't any of that. But yeah, a bit of confusion over third place as well.
Yeah, interesting, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So originally, obviously, Alonso managed to get third position. He was on the podium, celebrated on the podium, but it was quickly taken away from him and given to George Russell. He finished in P4, but because of a 5-second penalty due to the rear jack touching the car during the penalty, but then after the race, later on, it was announced that he would eventually get the podium position back because, what I thought was that they didn't give the penalty within 25 minutes. That's what I saw on social media, but you saw that it was different, wasn't it?
Yeah, so that's what I thought originally, but Aston Martin actually appealed and they showed like 7 counts of evidence saying that this has happened previously and no one's been penalised for it. But obviously Alonso got a 5-second penalty earlier in the race, which he served, and then So.
Well, in the post-race interviews, when Russell was told he was going to get on the podium, he did say that he didn't deserve it, that Alonso and the team deserved it, and it was a very harsh penalty, which it was, which obviously was taken away eventually, but it was not right at all, and obviously I feel like the FIA are just bringing up some rules now. They're just making up rules as they go along. Yeah. People at home are watching and don't understand what they're trying to do. It doesn't make sense with these things.
I mean, for his first penalty, it's because he was in the incorrect grid position, but the same happened to Ocon last week.
Yeah.
So I suppose it's right that he got a penalty, but it's because they've changed the rules for this season, because you've seen there's loads of pictures that have come out. I think one's of Schumacher, and he was so far over to the left or the right, and it's how would you not get penalised for that? But unlucky for Aston Martin really, because Stroll obviously had a retirement and they've just had so much pace again. They've had. I mean, they're currently tied on points with Mercedes in the constructors. So
they're obviously not quite at the same pace as Red Bull. I don't think they're going to be able to catch them up within the championship as of now. But currently they are doing very well. If both Red Bulls retire, for example, they are right there behind to get the win. I think they're definitely going to get a win this season.
Yeah, well, for Max starting P15 to get to second place is astounding. I mean, I thought he was going to win it, I can't lie.
Yeah.
But, I mean, because both Red Bulls do have the pace, then sort of see. I mean, Perez has even said he wants to fight for the championship.
Yeah.
In a now deleted tweet, he said, we'll keep fighting for this championship. He's deleted it now and he changed it to just say we'll keep pushing. But he clearly wants it. With both Red Bulls having so much pace, it's something we'll have to see.
Well, it's interesting because at the end of the race, it was looking like he was going to finish the race to be on top and leading the championship.
Yeah.
But then, of course, on the last lap, Max Verstappen got the fastest lap.
Yeah.
Which meant that he was leading the championship, which was a bit heartbreaking to watch because I think everyone was kind of rooting for Perez to get the lead of the championship.
Yeah.
'Cause that would be big for him. Obviously, never led a championship before. To get the win and that in the same weekend would be great, even though the likelihood of him keeping it wouldn't be the biggest, but still. McLaren. Now, it's been announced over the past week that McLaren are having organisational changes within the F1 team.
Yeah.
The past 2 races have been awful for McLaren, finishing at the bottom of the grid. Both cars did manage to finish in Saudi, but not great. They could only battle with each other at the back of the grid. That's all they could do, fight with each other. Piastri put up a great fight though against Norris. He was really trying to get the position, wasn't he?
Yeah, I mean, there was something that someone said to Lando on team radio, was like, don't make it too hard for him, or I think because like Piastri was behind him, which I thought was a bit of a weird call. Like, they're both running last anyway. Why would you say that? I get he's a rookie, but it was a bit of a confusing sort of team radio that I heard. But yeah. I mean, they are going to be bringing upgrades to Baku, but I don't really know if they're going to put them any higher, to be honest, because they're currently like dead last in the championship. So
well, Piastri managed to get P8 in qualifying. So is it just a case that they don't have the race pace, but they could qualify higher up the grid and it just won't carry on, because they have had a lot of bad luck really within the races. It looks like the car's not got the race pace and they're having issues with the car. But do you think these organisational changes within the team could bring something different maybe?
I think it depends. Obviously, we don't know what's going on in the team. Whether it'll make a big difference, I couldn't say. I don't think anyone can really tell. So we'll just see, I guess. Yeah,
on Instagram they announced that they would introduce an F1 technical executive team.
As opposed to just one person. So maybe it might work a bit better having a team rather than just one person. But
definitely need big changes within the team, of course. Now, F1 are in talks of revising the cost cap rules. Now, we can clearly see that the when they penalised Red Bull for overspending with the cost cap, it's not really made a huge difference to them, has it? I mean, they're still
not at all.
Flying away with the championship. But do you think that revising the cost cap rules could maybe make teams consider what they're doing more with the spendings?
I mean, we saw with Haas at the start of the season, they obviously changed their pit wall because it saved them, I think it was $250,000. So
that's a huge
$250,000.
amount.
It's massive.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe not in F1 terms, but it would have, saved them a little bit. And, they can use it on upgrades. But I'm not sure. I think that with Red Bull, I know they were over, but it's not made a massive difference. And it depends on how they're revising them. Like, are they giving them more money? It sort of depends on how they're going to revise them, like what they're going to do with it.
So after the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, Hamilton made some comments about the Red Bull, saying that it's the fastest car that he's seen. Yeah. But do you think that he's a bit hypocritical here? Because obviously everyone says that the W11 has been one of the fastest cars in F1 ever. So what do you think about Hamilton's comments there? I
mean, Martin Rundle agreed with him, I guess. And I know that Hamilton's the only one who's driving the car, but I don't know. I feel like Hamilton says a lot of things that sort of come off, and I'm not sure. Yeah. I think that he says a lot of. It's like in testing, when Toto Wolff is saying these things about the car, and Lewis is saying the same things. Then actually, the car's really good. It's one of them things you don't know if they're just saying it sort of to put up. But we can see that the car's fast.
Yeah. Definitely.
Like he's obviously saying it for a reason. Yeah, he's obviously saying it for a reason. So. Yeah.
So the next race is the Australian Grand Prix. Now this is a 6 a.m. race time start for UK fans, with the practice sessions being at like 2 a.m. Do you have any predictions for the race?
I mean, I love Australia personally. I think it's a great race. Red Bull on top again. That's honestly as much as I can say, because they're just doing so well at the minute, and I think George Russell said something, and Oh no, it was Natalie Pinkham actually. Someone asked her, will Red Bull win every race?
Win
and
every race of the season,
she said they can, but they won't, because she said like reliability issues will come into play. So I think they'll just be on top again.
Yeah.
It'll be Red Bull dominated this season, Will.
Definitely.
Max is just so far ahead, and so is Checo. I mean, the car is just so fast. So
it'll be interesting to see at what tracks the reliability does come into play.
Yeah.
I think Baku might test quite a few cars with that long straight. It'll be interesting to see how they perform, whether Ferrari will pick up the pace at all, because it seemed like they were faster last weekend.
Yeah.
They were catching up to the front of the grid a bit more, but still not there.
No.
Definitely not.
I mean, you had issues with Leclerc's engineer. He told him to sort of push on Hamilton, but Hamilton's already come out of the pits, and it's like, you should have been saying this a lap ago, really. And we had Charles Leclerc getting a bit frustrated on the radio. So again, even with the changes in Ferrari, it's still making them mistakes that you don't really want to be making. So
I think it's confusing when you're listening to the radio messages from Ferrari, because the drivers are often telling the engineers like there's a problem, or asking a question, and you'll just get the engineer saying like copy, understood, and you think, no, you need more information than that. You need to be talking to the drivers, unless they're saying don't talk to me, which is obviously quite clear.
I mean, Max had some issues as well. I think it was with his brake balance, so like he was complaining of a weird noise at high speed. Obviously it didn't really hinder his race at all, but we had a retirement from Alex Albon as well because of his brakes. So
there was worry from Perez at one point whether he'd have a similar issue with his car, but
it was all sorted out in the end.
Whether it was just to throw off the other teams, maybe. So the F1 Academy lineup for the 2023 season is all complete. The new all-female single-seater series features 5 teams with 3 drivers competing for each team.
The championship is set for 7 rounds, starting on the 28th of April in Austria and finishing on the 22nd of October in Austin, where it will be a support race for the Formula 1 US Grand Prix.
The Formula E is heading to the streets of Sao Paulo for the Sambadrome for the round 6 of the championship. This is the first time that Formula E have been to Brazil, with this being the home race of Lucas Di Grassi and Sergio Sette Câmara.
Their line is currently still leading the championship with 80 points, followed by Dennis on 62 points and Vern on 50 points. Tag Heuer Porsche are leading the championship with an impressive total of 126 points.
So I think so far it's been a very competitive season for Formula E. Wehrlein's really running away with the championship. He's doing great. I do think that Dennis will end up being level on points and fighting for the championship at some point. Yeah, well, there's quite a few rounds left. We've got a lot of time. So I think there's definitely going to be that fight for the championship. Whether the other drivers can catch up, I'm not so sure. It's been more competitive in other seasons. I would have liked to have seen Jaguar closer to the front.
Because they've showed some promise in like previous seasons, and it just seems like every time they get close, it's sort of taken away from them. The Envisions are doing very, very well this season.
I wouldn't have predicted that they would have made it so far up the grid, but they are doing very, very well. It's interesting to see. I think a lot more people have tuned into Formula E this year. Seems like they're a bit more curious as to how the championship works. I am a big advocate for watching the qualifying. I think it's very interesting with the duels.
The format is great.
So it'll be interesting to see that play out, and if people tune in for that specifically, because I know that's a big drawing point, and I would like to see I think it would be interesting how that would work with Formula 1, if they would ever consider that format, because I think it's... Imagine watching like both Red Bull drivers competing in duels on the same lap at the same time. That would be insane
It'd
to
be
watch.
very interesting. I think it'd be really weird.
Definitely.
It'd be a good watch, I think.
Definitely. Well, that's all we have time for today.
Have a lovely Easter, and we will see you after the break.
Goodbye.
Bye.